We have lost 2 elections in 5.5 years. In that time, we've had 4 leaders. We must present new ideas, not make the same arguments, hoping that maybe this time more Canadians will come around to our position. Justin Trudeau has called small business owners tax cheats. He's broken countless promises, from increasing the carbon tax to ending boil water advisories on reserves. M. Trudeau et les libéraux ont fermé les yeux sur de nombreux scandales. We Charity et Frank Baylis. Pendant que les Canadiens souffrent,
Canadians were suffering. The friends of the Liberals were profiting.
But he still got re-elected. We are never going to win over Canadians just by relying on Justin Trudeau to continue to disappoint. His scandals, as outrageous as they often are, will never be enough to defeat him. The Liberal government has used the worst health and economic crisis in generations to help some well-connected friends get ahead, while hundreds of thousands of Canadians got left behind. But even that will not be enough to defeat him. The Conservative Party can defeat him, but only with the courage to grow, to move beyond a party that does well only in certain parts of Canada while leaving other Canadians out. We need to be the party for all of Canada. We need to be a Conservative Party with the courage to be bold, and the Conservative Party with the courage to change. We owe it to our country to be that courageous. Canada is now more divided than any other time in our history. Look at how far behind Canada has fallen in the last 18 months since the last election. Look at how devastated families are from coast to coast to coast. Malheureusement, plus de 20 000 Canadiens sont
more
morts de
than
la
20,000 Canadians died from COVID-19. Hundreds of thousands of people are still without a job. Many families have difficulty to meet ends and to have their kids learning from home. We have been aggressed by this quarantine without forgetting the slow deployment of vaccination and the economic performance of many months.
I take no pleasure in this laundry list of incompetence. We wanted the government to succeed because Canadians needed them to succeed. We could not have seen this pandemic coming in 2019 when we lost the election, but now we must acknowledge that the true cost of our defeat was so much bigger than to just our party. Our defeat cost Canada. Do I think things would have been different with a Conservative government at the helm? Absolutely, I do. Ordinary Canadians are relying on us to win the next election. Because, my friends, the very future of Canada is what is at stake now. We cannot afford to lose because Canadians cannot afford for us to lose. Canada is at a crossroads. The 2 paths before us could not be more different. One veers off into the unknown with more risky shutdowns and unfunded, unknown, and untested changes that will leave millions more Canadians behind. That is the path of Mr. Trudeau's reimagined economy, one where an Ottawa knows best approach picks and chooses which jobs Canadians should have, in which sector, and in which region. It's a path where the well-connected few get richer while working families get left behind. But there is another path, a path of security and certainty. It may not be the most glamorous route, but it will get all of us safely to our destination. It will deliver us to a Canada where those who have struggled the most through this pandemic get back to work. A Canada where manufacturing is bolstered, where wages go up, and where the dream so many families in Canada have of affording a better life for their children can be realized. But Canadians need to elect a Conservative government to take that path and secure a strong future for our children. Ce n'est pas le temps de réimaginer
it's not the time
notre
to
économie.
reimagine our economy.
Who else is going to stop Mr. Trudeau's reimagining of the economy? Jagmeet Singh isn't going to. Yves-François Blanchet ne va pas le faire. En fait, il ne peut pas le faire.
He cannot do it.
We are. This outstanding Conservative team, our passionate caucus, our incredible volunteers. The people participating in this convention in the middle of a pandemic. You are here because you love our country. I love our country too, and that is what motivates me as Conservative leader. Together, we will give Justin Trudeau the fight of his life, because there's one thing the Liberals fear more than anything else: a Conservative Party with the courage to grow, to be bold, and to change. And that's the Conservative Party many Canadians are waiting for. They're waiting for us at those crossroads to show up, to say we've learned, to prove we have grown, to show that we have the courage to lead this country along the right path to a Canada that is stronger than ever, a Canada where no one is left behind. How are we going to do that? Today, I'm introducing Canada's recovery plan, a plan to secure our future. Every Canadian deserves the security and dignity of a secure, stable, and well-paid job. Canada's Conservatives will enact a comprehensive jobs plan to recover the millions of jobs lost during the pandemic within 1 year, and we won't stop there. We will take immediate action on the hardest hit sectors, helping those who've suffered the most, including women and young people. We will rebuild Main Street by assisting small businesses and providing incentives to invest, rebuild, and start new businesses. And we will create opportunity in all sectors of the economy and in every part of the country. Second, we will enact the toughest accountability and transparency laws in Canada's history. It's time to clean up the mess in Ottawa with an anti-corruption law. We will toughen the Conflict of Interest Act and the Lobbying Act and impose higher penalties to end abuse by Liberal insiders. We will shine the bright light of transparency to end Liberal cover-ups once and for all. Cela a assez duré. Les Canadiens sont tannés.
Canadians are fed up of this government. We must reestablish the confidence of Canadians towards their Prime Minister and their Parliament and the federal Constitution.
This last year has deepened the mental health crisis our communities have been struggling with across Canada. Mental health is central to the wellness of families and communities, and we must take immediate action to treat it properly. There isn't a Canadian family that hasn't been impacted by mental health challenges during this pandemic, my own included. The isolation has been excruciating for so many people. The rate of youth in mental crisis has skyrocketed in numerous ways in the last year, from anxiety to eating disorders. The rate of domestic violence and addiction has gone up. And in British Columbia, more people have died in the past year of drug overdoses than COVID-19. The opioid crisis has become the pandemic of tears within the COVID-19 pandemic. Canadian families are worried about their children. After a year of isolation, missed classes, canceled sports seasons, and little socialization, I know as a father of two, we need to take this very seriously and act now. Canada's Conservatives will introduce a Canada Mental Health Action Plan and boost funding partnerships with the provinces for mental health care. We will provide incentives to employers to provide better mental wellness coverage to employees. And we will create a nationwide 3-digit suicide prevention hotline. Fourth, I will ensure our country is never unprepared for a crisis again. Canada's Conservatives will make Canada more resilient reduce our reliance on foreign countries like China, and take seriously our responsibility to protect the health of Canadians. We will partner with pharmaceutical companies to increase production of critical medicines and active ingredients in Canada, and we will build domestic vaccine production capacity. We will use government procurement and investments to strengthen domestic production of PPE and other critical products. And we will overhaul Canada's national emergency stockpile system to ensure that the things we need to rapidly respond in a crisis are there when we need them. Finally, a Conservative government will secure Canada's economy by getting the budget back to balance over the next decade. Spending to protect Canadians during the pandemic is the right thing to do, and Conservatives have supported it. But we can't pass unsustainable debt to our children and future generations. Once the recovery starts, the Conservatives will get spending under control. As Canadians are vaccinated and the economy reopens, we will wind down emergency support programs responsibly. We will ensure that stimulus measures are targeted and time-limited to avoid a structural deficit. And we will get the economy growing, again, to secure the revenue needed to pay for the government services Canadians depend on. This is the Canada Recovery Plan we will bring to Canadians in the coming weeks. Together, we will show Canadians that we are in this for them, and we are ready to lead. Nous sommes prêts à diriger, et je suis fier du plan que je viens d'élaborer.
I'm proud of the plan I've just shared with you that puts accent on the recovery economically and jobs, and the good health and the mental health of Canadians is important to face every other crisis that could happen and to return to budget harmony in the next decade. And we have to innovate. There is a Quebec nation, and the Quebec French and Conservatives have recognized the Quebec nation in 2006. And my Canada is the one of two founding people, and the notion must stay in the middle of the Canadian. And I want to protect the Quebec culture, its identity. The French language is not only a tool of communication, it is part of the identity of our country. And it's a heritage that we must preserve. That's why I want to ask nationalists of Quebec and sovereignists to come and share the power with me. We will have a great coalition. Since the last year, Liberals profited of the to intervene in competences of the provinces. I respect the provinces, and I also respect a good management of spending without cutting in programs of the provinces. We are defending a federalism that is not centralizing. The conservative government will always negotiate the new deals with the Quebec. For instance, we support the demand of Quebec to create a report from a unique deposit, and the federal must give the tools to the provinces to succeed, so that they are stronger. I'm engaging myself to also defend the interests of Quebec. This means raise the power of Quebec in culture and to make sure that there's some transfer in health and that preserve the Law 101. And Quebec need of a strong voice to the table of decisions. We will act for Quebec. I want also talk to Acadians and the Francophone communities outside of Quebec. We won't only publish a white book, we will go to action in the question of official languages.
But our new approach won't stop there. There are those that say no matter what we do, we can only win elections when the NDP are stronger. While depending on another party's performance is not a strategy. I'm not going to sit around and wait for them to get serious. The NDP no longer stand up for working Canadians and their families. Private sector union workers share so many of our values of hard work, family, and community. Like us, they are proud of what we build here in Canada. They should be voting Conservative. And if we have the courage to change our approach with organized labor, to open our tent to them, we will win their trust. Il y en a aussi qui vont vous dire que pour avoir du succès au Québec, nous devons faire comme le Bloc, être plus comme eux.
To be more
Mes amis,
like them.
je ne vous apprends rien
My
si
friends,
je vous dis
I'm
que le
not
Bloc
telling
québécois
you
ne va
nothing
jamais
new.
aller
That
plus
Bloc
loin
québécois
que
will
l'opposition.
not go further
Le
than the
Bloc
opposition.
peut
The
seulement
Bloc
présenter des projets de
can only
loi symboliques.
present projects that are
livrer
symbolic.
la
They
marchandise.
cannot deliver
C'est mauvais
merchandise.
pour les
And
intérêts
it's
du
bad
Québec.
for the interests of Quebec.
Je veux solidifier
I want to
l'unité
solidify
nationale.
the national
Pour
unity.
ça, il
For
faut
that,
travailler
we
ensemble.
need to
Il
work
faut
together.
unir nos
We've
forces.
got to unite
Il faut
our forces.
s'unir,
We've
non
got
pas
to be
diviser.
united, not divided.
C'est pourquoi
That's
nous
why
devons présenter
we
nos
must
propres
present
idées aux Québécois avec une approche
ideas to the
conservatrice,
Quebec,
une approche audacieuse,
a very
qui
audacious
respecte la
approach.
spécificité des
And
Québécois et des
there's a
Québécoises.
specificity
Il est
of
temps
Quebec.
d'opter
It's
pour une
time
formation
to
à la
have
hauteur
a
de vos
formation
attentes,
that
pour une
is
formation
to
qui peut
your
agir
expectations,
dès maintenant,
and we can
en ayant
act
le
now,
courage de changer
working
les choses.
together and have the
Nous allons
courage
y
to
arriver.
change things, and we will achieve it.
There are those who say we have to get ahead of the Wexit movement. I say there is no other party in Canada more committed to national unity than the Conservative Party of Canada. But there is one thing that will help Alberta and Saskatchewan feel secure and more welcome in Confederation: a Conservative government in Ottawa. Having the courage to change means we can be a champion for hundreds of thousands of families in the West losing hope. Now, there are those who say we need to become liberal to appeal to suburban voters. I say the families in the suburbs of Toronto and Vancouver want certainty from their government. They are tired of the entitlement of the Liberal Party and a prime minister under constant ethics investigations. These Canadians want confidence that things will return to normal and that we have a plan to ensure that no one gets left behind. They want to be sure that we will be a government that fights for the prosperity and rights of all Canadians, including women, Indigenous Canadians, LGBTQ Canadians, and new Canadians. They want to be able to display our lawn signs with pride in the next election and send a clear message that everyone is welcome in our movement. Theirs is the trust we must earn before the next election. With courage, we will give them the certainty that they're looking for. We must also recognize that Canadians expect us to have a real plan for the environment. We need to boldly reclaim the environment as an area where Conservatives are leaders. And why shouldn't we be? Our party was built with farmers, hunters, and anglers, people who respect and live off the very lands and waters we need to conserve. Protecting the environment has always been a core Conservative value. I care about the environment because I'm a Conservative. Je prends la question
I take
environnementale
the
très
question
au
of
sérieux.
environment very
Il
seriously.
faut contribuer à
We
la
must
lutte contre
contribute
les changements
to the fight
climatiques.
to climate changes.
Nous devons agir
We
avec
must act
détermination
with
pour y
determination
arriver.
to achieve it.
important pour
It's
le Canada.
important for Canada.
There's been a lot of speculation about what I'm going to say about climate change in this speech. To those who are expecting a dramatic moment, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. But I will say this, from the first days of my campaign to lead our party, I've said two things consistently. One, we all want a green future for our children. We cannot ignore the reality of climate change. The debate is over. But a Conservative government will not solve this problem on the backs of working Canadians. The answer is not Justin Trudeau's carbon tax on the poor, working families, and the little guy trying to make a go of it. I'll also say this, as important as climate change is, getting our economy back on track is more important. We can't have a green future without jobs and growth. Canadian voters should have no doubt. My focus is on jobs, getting us out of the recession, and rebuilding the Canadian economy. Only the Liberals think it's a good idea to raise taxes in a recession. We will scrap Justin Trudeau's carbon tax on working Canadians. Il faut aussi donner plus de latitude aux provinces en matière d'environnement. The second thing I've said is that we must have a credible alternative. We've now fought and lost 2 elections against a carbon tax because voters did not think we were serious about addressing climate change. And I will not allow 338 candidates to defend against the lie from the Liberals that we are a party of climate change deniers. We will have a plan to address climate change. It will be comprehensive and it will be serious. I love this country. That's why I served in the military. It's why I volunteer. It's why I ran for Parliament. And it's why I serve today as Conservative leader. I love this party. The beliefs we hold in our very core built this great country. Self-determination, hard work, responsibility, respect, helping others, the importance of community to a strong society. These ideals will lift Canada up and inspire a generation to rebuild the country following this crisis. These ideals will ensure more Canadians see a Conservative when they look in the mirror and feel good about voting for a party that will get this country moving again. I want all Canadians to feel welcome in the Conservative Party of Canada. Whether you're Black, white, or brown, whether you're LGBTQ or straight, whether you worship on Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, every day, or not at all, you are welcome in our party. In fact, we need your help. Canada needs your help. We are the party of this country's founding and this country's future. Nous sommes le parti fondateur du Canada. Nous sommes aussi le parti de l'avenir.
The party of future. Our party has
dualité
always
culturelle
defended the duality of this country. That is part of our DNA, from our identity. We, the party of George Etienne Cartier and Johnny MacDonald, where a Francophone and an Anglophone, where a blue or a Tory could ally to create an impact. This pact was at the origin of an incredible country that is Canada.
There is an entire generation of Canadians who are being left behind by this pandemic and its economic fallout. We must secure Canada's future for them. There are young people who feel stuck, whose lives and careers have been put on hold indefinitely. We must secure Canada's future for them. There are families out west who have been set adrift by this government, who are losing hope. We must secure Canada's future for them. There are new Canadians who came here with nothing but their passion and dreams, who poured everything they had into their small business, and now they're on the brink of losing everything. We must secure Canada's future for them. Nous devons protéger notre avenir.
We must protect our future.
We are the party that will ensure this country's economy gets back on track after the pandemic. We are the party that will get Canadians back to work in every sector and in every region. We are the party that will ensure Canada has a real plan for reopening and rebuilding our economy. A real plan to get life back to normal. And ideas raised at this convention will help inform that plan. As we work together on our policy platform, the most important question we must ask ourselves is, will this help secure Canada's future? Everything we put forward to Canadians in coming weeks and months must be singularly focused at that. C'est au cœur de mon engagement.
This is at the heart of my engagement. This is what will be questioned in the next elections. Which party will give Canada a stable economic future after COVID-19?
Canada is a big nation, not because it spans a continent and touches 3 oceans, but because there has never been a time when Canadians, having set their minds to something, have not rallied to achieve success. It was a young nation that took the ridge at Vimy after other countries had failed. It's the hopeful nation that attracted immigrants to our shores with the resolute belief that with hard work and opportunity, anything is possible in this country. We need to restore that Canadian optimism. We need to restore Canadian ingenuity. We need to restore Canadian leadership, because now we are the nation that discovered insulin a century ago, but today we require our vaccines to be delivered to us from Belgium, Spain, or India. We are the nation that led the North Atlantic convoy, but today we can't get ships built on time for a modern navy. Nous avons construit le pont Victoria à Montréal,
the Victoria Bridge in Montreal and the Quebec Bridge, but today we have a bank of infrastructures that can only deliver bonuses to its leaders.
That built railways across the Rocky Mountains, but today we can't seem to build pipelines anywhere. And we are the nation that led our allies to force an end to apartheid in South Africa. But just a few weeks ago, Prime Minister Trudeau did not show up for a vote recognizing a genocide against the Uyghur minority in China. This is what we've become under Justin Trudeau. But this is not who we are. Canada may be lagging in this crisis, but we will lead again. We will be leaders for human rights around the world. We will be leaders for equality and liberty. And when we win the next election, we will be leaders in the pandemic recovery with job creation that ensures no Canadian from any walk of life gets left behind. Canadians are weary after a year of national crisis. Families are tired of the lockdowns and isolation. But Canadians are resolute and united in the belief that our country's greatest days are ahead of us. Je suis fier de diriger ce formidable parti.
I will do campaign to become Prime Minister of Canada.
I am proud to lead this great party. I am proud to be a kid from Bowmanville running to be Prime Minister of Canada, and together we are going to secure the future for this great country.